Hi, guys. Welcome back to Enlightened Awakening, episode number 14. Today, I have Raj Khedun on the show. Raj is a breathwork practitioner, and he has perfected 3-3 breathwork practice. Welcome, Raj. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Shauna. Pleasure.
You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what led you on the path to being a breathwork practitioner, among other things.
Among other things, yeah. I mean, it's been an incredible journey. I've been a yoga practitioner for 25 to 30 years. Yeah, so I studied a lot of the physical aspects of yoga, hatha yoga, which is stretches, postures, and things like that. You know, you're downward dog, you're upward dog, and all that kind of thing. But then there comes a point where you're like, this whole yoga system, there's so much to it. It's not just physical postures. There's so much to it. I'm thinking to myself, I read a few philosophy books and meditation books from the library as a youngster in my teens, right? What is that? I've never been taught any of this in school. So let me look into this. Let me look into it. I'm kind of curious, right? Like kids are curious about things. So I started looking into the more meditative aspects and the yogic aspects and thought, there's powers involved here. There's energies, there's consciousness, there's Kundalini and chakras. And what's this? Right?
Use the force, Luke, right?
Exactly. People love the superhero films, Superman, Spider-Man, Star Trek, Star Wars, and so on. But no one talks about, talk about the force, but where is this power? Like, how do you find it? Like, is there a textbook I can go through to get that?
Real.
It's real. Like you have Yoda, right? Yoda is taken from yoga, right?
Right.
All of Star Wars comes from Vedanta, the yogic system. All of it. Yeah. All the superhero films, they all borrow heavily from the yogic traditions of Vedanta. I guarantee it. 100%.
I heard that a lot of the ideas from Star Trek were taken from channelers.
Oh, yeah.
Technology and stuff like that. Here's how I first found yoga, like years ago, about 20 years ago. I was counting carbs and doing workouts.
I do.
And I was doing P90X.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And in the beginning, they were doing yoga stuff. And I was like, wow, I feel like I can breathe. This is like some really, that was like your opening stretches to get your body ready for the workout. And I was like, wow, this yoga stuff is. So I kind of found it by accident, but I knew there was something to it because I could totally tell a difference.
Absolutely. So, the whole yoga system, if you go into it, it's existed for thousands and thousands of years, 10,000 years of recorded history, if not more. And it's like, if it already existed, how come we didn't get to grips with that from a young age if it's already out there?
I feel like, we're going through this mass awakening right now, this massive shift, and we're kind of like growing up a little bit as a collective, you know what I mean? From elementary school into middle school or something like that, getting ready to enter puberty who knows? Just an analogy.
When I look at people, if you're suffering, if you're lacking something, if you're not happy, the divine creator, he's made from bliss. He's made all of us from unconditional love. So if we're not staying connected with what he wants to fulfill our potential, then you're missing the whole plot. You're missing the plot all day, every day. And year after year, you get off track. And then you're lost and you die.
Right.
And then you have to come back and do it all over again. And then you're still got the past karma from this life where you haven't learned to get in alignment with your creator. So everyone, no one.
Do you think we're like God sparks? Like,
absolutely.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to the theory that I heard recently that explained it and the best, I think, was that God is limitless. So he needed to experience limited things through us because we are limited beings.
You see, again, this whole conversation is vast. I'm telling you, it's not an easy thing because I understand people when I see the resistance to ideas. I don't want to push nothing because I don't want to create conflict where there doesn't need to be. But
they're not going to hear you until they're ready anyway.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm not here to make enemies. I've had enough of up and down conflict. People believe in flat earth, politics, blah, blah. Listen, I don't care about any of that. Love is the law. I've learned that somewhat the hard way, but also because I was proactively seeking. What is God? Why did he create us? What is the law? What is the most important thing to God? I want to know that. The rest is just details, right?
Right.
What I learned and what I'm just amazing how I walked into my heart space. I do everything from the heart. And when I do that, everything works. Everything just works naturally, fluidly, effortlessly, as it should be. And you're amazed at yourself and you're amazed at your Father's handiwork in you. And you know you're doing God's work on the planet for yourself, for others. He'll never tell you to do anything that hurts you. He'll never tell you to do anything that hurts anyone else. So
Yeah.
you see what I mean? It's like, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
But why was I so off alignment for so many years? Because I was bouncing around from this theory to that theory to this, what this doctor says, what this university professor says. Everybody respects him. He's a best-selling author, so he must be right. It's not true, though. It
You
could
had
be
to break
wrong.
free from your programming.
It was hard.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it wasn't that hard for me. According to my chart that my guest yesterday pulled up, he's like, okay, you have Uranus and something. You're like, you so basically he was saying that, I will do the opposite of what I'm told to do or what everybody else is doing just to prove a point.
Yeah. That's unconventional. It's ruled by Aquarius, I think. Aquarius and Uranus have that strong connection. And Aquarius is
Yeah.
always doing the opposite of what the conventional people do. So,
He's like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And then he said, I see why you're doing podcasting, because this is like, you have this strong, I don't know what all the chart meant, but this is what he was telling me. You have like strong media skills and like giving messages and doing this. I'm like, yes, I love this.
yeah.
I just got to really, really figure out how to seriously monetize it.
As Aquarius, it's media, it's spirituality, it's new age, it's healing, it's uplifting humanity, and not necessarily being too clingy with people, because Aquarius like to think clearly, and that's more important to them than having too many like murky relationships that are toxic or that are too clingy or too attachment based. They like to be free thinkers. That's the most important, one of the most important things for them. Does that resonate?
Explains me to a T for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I do, I do like having, relationships where close to people, but but like you said, not too, I don't want to.
Dependency to clingy it.
Right. Yeah. I like my freedom. I like to have, because, you draw things to you. You don't chase them down and hold them.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean?
Right.
You want, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't like forcefulness.
I just started. In the last week, we've had about 10 podcasts, being invited by a matchmaker and other places, LinkedIn and all this. And I met the most amazing people who are into healing, Qigong, Tai Chi, entrepreneurship, wellness entrepreneurship, not purely for the money, but helping everyone prosper. Because if you want to be prosperous and you want to be wealthy, you want to help the planet, you've got to demonstrate that you're helping other people and then you're being helped yourself by a servant.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the yoga background, I studied astrology intensively, prana, which is life energy, life force, as well as reincarnation. So these things, I felt very natural to these, even though I was taught nothing about these in any of my schooling. Nothing. I found it all
Right.
for myself just because they kept on haunting, not in a bad way, but in a nice way, just kept revisiting my mind again and again and again. I'm just, what is all this stuff? So one day, I had a dream of Yogananda's face in a dream. And I went to a bookshop the next day to pick up like $500 of thick psychology textbooks, right? Because I had studied them for studying psychology. And then I had all these books in my hand in London in a big bookstore. I walked past and I saw that face in the dream. I put the books down and I went back and I thought, hang on, I just saw that face last night. I dropped all the books. I picked this one up and it was autobiography. And when I started reading it, you're not going to believe what happened. Everything stopped. And I heard the voice of this master speaking the words of the book into my ears, if you can understand, if you can even grasp what that is. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, what is this? I never had that kind of experience before. I completely forgot I was in London. I completely forgot everything. And I was just totally immersed in his voice, speaking the words my eyes were reading in this book. I was like, wow, I got to buy this. All those psychology books, I did buy them. I regret it now because none of them taught me anything.
Oh, yeah.
One hypothesis after another, and you're always confused at the end of the book. Okay, well, what's the conclusion? I'm just confused. I didn't learn nothing, you know?
Right.
Autobiography taught me everything.
Right. Because I mean, the brain is a receiver.
Yeah.
It's not the thing that does the thinking. It's
Right.
the consciousness.
Correct.
The brain is just like the radio, and if there's no programs, it's not going to pick up anything.
Exactly.
It seems like we keep hearing a lot lately about forgotten knowledge and the knowledge of the ancient ones and who built the pyramids and stuff like that. So the question that keeps popping up in my mind is, who put us to sleep and when? You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody
Well,
put us to sleep. Somebody did some finagling to make us forget. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It's like a blanket of like ignorance, like just covers your brain kind of thing. And you're like, it takes you a while to wake up out of that. Say, why am I feeling like trapped in this ideology system matrix? What is this? Right?
I understand the waking up, but if this is ancient knowledge and we had it before, who put us to sleep? You know what I mean? I just keep, that's my most recent question, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, not. It's great to have that kind of open-ended, discussion, ask questions. So I delved into yoga more. I visited India. When I visited India, everything changed because I was an obnoxious teenager, 18 years old, thinking I know something. And I went to India and my whole reality just came crumbling because I met people, beings who had a different type of knowledge and intelligence that was just mind-boggling, like just transcendent beyond anything I could possibly dream of understanding. Their ability to influence people, their ability to control the elements, the ability to control their bodies, the ability to have powers, which are there's just not within the remit of anything I've ever been taught. But these are real people. This is real. And I'm thinking,
And they're still alive.
oh yeah,
right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. And for them, it's nothing. It's normal. It's natural. I'm thinking,
So this is like the general public over there is like this?
no, it's in the whole world, as you know, it's become very, it's kind of struggling with materialistic ideology, trying to break free of the Netflix and chill, the book clubs and the Uber. And you know how it is that people get confused, right? They get confused with societal values they see on TV and stuff like that. I mean, I don't watch TV. I don't read the newspapers. I don't check in with the news because it's, in my opinion, it's contrived to give you all negative stuff. And that's not really what
Right.
happens. People are not that bad. Otherwise, this whole world would have been destroyed ages ago.
I really don't watch TV either, but I have to confess, if some Game of Thrones stuff is coming on, I'm there.
A bit of fantasy,
Yeah, Daenerys is my hero, and they have dragons, and if I had a bigger yard, I would love a pet dragon.
Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? But going there in Asia, in India, and seeing these beings, they're exceptional beings, and I have met a couple of them, and they just blew my mind because they're transcendent. They don't think the same way we think. They're thinking on a totally different plane, and they're always relaxed, no matter what you say or do or don't say. They're always relaxed, peaceful, calm, blissful, right? Have this concept called Satchitananda. It's every single human being is being, awareness, and bliss. Everyone is at their core, beingness, awareness, and bliss. The nature of the soul is like that. And these beings are always on that plane. So it doesn't matter what happens on this earth, they're always happy. Nothing can shake them. Seeing these people, I'm thinking, no matter what happens here, people are having cancer, crying, all kind of tragedies. You still bless them, you heal them, you raise them from the dead, you heal them from cancer, and it's nothing for you. It's like it's nothing. and you still carry on preaching, you know? So being, having some of that exposure and then coming back to London, I was thinking, when I come back to London, everything is so matter of fact, like in your face, materialistic, rushing around, rushing. I'm thinking, this is so odd. Like, what am I doing? Should I rush like this, or should I be calm like that? What should I do? I didn't know how to behave, you know?
You were like, wow, what a difference.
In the UK, in the Western country, they're not ever talking about that transcendental nature of the soul, nature of the self. They don't want to talk about God. Oh, I feel uncomfortable saying the word God. I'm like, well, you're uncomfortable saying the word God, but is God uncomfortable with you?
I think they may be afraid of what kind of pushback they would get from talking about it. I think that's part of the programming too.
Yeah. But how
People are
sad?
taught not. That is sad.
Yeah, it's sad. Because if
Really
he
is.
owns everything, this planet belongs to him. The template, the human body, the brain. I didn't create my brain. Did you?
It's so funny. I just said it the other day on a podcast episode. I was like, we think we own this planet. We really don't own it. And then I was telling him a story. I was like, the when I moved into the last neighborhood I lived in, my brand new neighbor was like, excuse me, I don't want your cat in my yard. And I don't know what was with me that day. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. See, the animals, they just don't understand these boundaries that us humans put up with each other. He has no idea that one human paid another human for this piece of land. And then I said, what do you tell the squirrels and the rabbits?
It's so true. Can you tell a bird to stop doing what it wants to do on your roof?
Right.
Yeah.
He was looking at me like, who is this person? I was like, but yeah, I mean, we think we own this planet, but
yeah. And then you get to the realization, well, what is the brain? The brain is so complicated. I know I didn't make my brain. I'm humble enough to say, look, I don't know how the brain works. I don't know how it was made, but it was made and I'm using it. This is scary, man. Like, I don't know anything, right? The mind, look at the mind. The mind is even more complex than the brain. And I can't even see it.
right.
It really operates the brain. I don't know how it works. I know I didn't create that bit. My
Right.
lungs, liver, spleen, digestive system. I know I'm not smart enough to create that, but it's there and it's working and I'm using it, right? Then you have this eerie feeling like, hang on, there's something else doing all this, right? Like, what is that?
And how old were you when you were having this consciousness expansion? 20,
Well,
did you say?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's when I started getting conscious about it. But I had these intuitions as a kid, like 5-year-old. I was looking at my hand. Who made that? Who made what is it? It was odd. And one day I remember having this very strange experience when I went from one classroom when I was young. I was about 6 years old. I had to go from one class to see one teacher, go to another class. And I had this intuition, a voice very, very clearly told me, you're going from one room to another, but the intelligence that you're going to pick up from the teacher is already all around you. You don't need to go to the room. It's already there. What? So the intelligence is not in the teachers? No. Where is it then? Everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere. It belongs to all of us. You don't need a teacher for that. It's already yours. It's already yours. But you just don't focus on it and you don't go deep enough to connect and build up a neural network to see that all knowledge is already there. Because you don't focus and concentrate. Because they don't teach you focus and concentration at school. Never.
You know what? The whole idea of school might be a subconscious kind of programming too. You look at one person that has all the answers and it's not you type thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's
I've been saying stuff for years, not knowing how I know it. I feel like a lot of us are like that. Like, for example, I've been saying for pretty much my whole life, these bodies don't belong to us. They belong to the planet. We're just borrowing them while we're here. Had no idea how right I was.
Yeah, we're tenants until we die. We're just a temporary, resident of this body.
Right. And this planet. I'm like, these bodies belong to Mother Earth. We got to leave it here when we go. Because we're just it's a meat suit. It's an outfit we're wearing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, you mentioned about school. I'll give you an interesting insight. A lot of people may or may not know this. I think Alex Ferrari from the Soul podcast.
Next level soul.
Next level soul. He may know this, but the word guru, the word school actually comes from a Sanskrit word. And I'll tell you what it is. This is going to make you think like, oh my God. All right. So the word school comes from the Sanskrit word gurukul. Gurukul means school led by a guru who knows wisdom. The school, what they've done is they've taken the guru out and just called it school. So there's no guru there. There's no wisdom, wise teacher to lead the students anymore. In ancient India, they always had gurus from the very beginning to teach the kids about the body, the mind, focus, concentration, meditation, so they could evolve the maximum potential through their chakras, kundalini, and so on and so on and so on.
We need to return to that.
Exactly.
I feel like we're on our way.
It's a big undertaking, but people like yourself, who love and embrace that idea and say, I want to see another generation growing up without a guru, because they start struggling by the time they get married. Struggles happen. They don't know how to deal with a relationship and with a spouse. They don't know how to grow the kids up. They don't know where to get their inspiration from. They don't know how to start a business. They don't have the wherewithal, the character, the stamina, the consistency of personality to be able to build a business, to create wealth. Very few people can do it because they had not been taught the right things at the young age. Unlike Elon Musk, who was reading books like a crazy person from the age of 3, 4, 5 endlessly.
But the things that we have been taught is that we always need to look outside of ourselves for the answer.
Correct.
Which, if it's not there, we're like, oh, we don't know. Really, like you learned, really, you do have the answer. You just have to have more faith. Yeah.
I've spoken to a lot of psychologists, psychology students, at the highest level PhD. I want to ask them this question because we have interns at Keep the Kingdom and they come from different universities from America, UK, and so on. And I always ask them the question, all of your PhD training in psychology and so on, have you ever been taught for 1 hour what concentration is? No. Have you ever been taught what focus is? No. Have you ever been taught what the mind is? And they're going, no. I said, these things are really important in life, but you feel a bit curious, like why they're not covered in your curriculum? They get very uncomfortable. So,
does it count if the teacher made the whole class put their heads down on their desk and turned out the lights every once in a while?
Did they even do that?
Yeah, I don't know how they do it in the UK, but I know when a class would start getting rowdy, there were a teacher or two that would say, all right, everybody put your heads down on the desk. And we would have to put our heads down on the desk like this, and she would turn off the light.
Really?
Until we all calmed down. And yeah, I remember one time we had a classmate that passed away. He got cancer and passed away. And she came in and told us the news. And she was like, I'm just too upset. Everybody put their heads down. So we had to put our heads down on the desk.
Wow. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's...
but that was kind of like meditation.
Yeah.
But we should not put our heads down, but we should be taught to meditate in school for sure.
Absolutely. And you know what all this is about? You know what we boil it all down, get right to the bottom line, because I've had it with passing from one theory to another theory to this theory to that. I've had it.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. Give me the bottom line. Just give me the bottom line. And what the bottom line is the very thing people are afraid to talk about, is the very answer, for which all things source, which is your creator, your God, your munificent benefactor who is infinite. Because you can't tangle with that idea, you tangle with every lesser idea and get yourself into all kinds of things. And sometimes you die with that ignorance and you have no idea what you're doing and how to solve the problem.
And then you get on the other side and all the knowledge is restored and you're like, no, wasted a lifetime. Dang it.
Yeah, exactly. You miss that lesson like Oprah Winfrey said. Yeah, they're going to have to hit you harder next time, the invisible force, because you didn't learn the lesson. It was right in front of your face. But for whatever reason, you were not ready to receive it. You were not open to learn. You were not humble enough to say, I was wrong. Let me be receptive and let me sit and meditate and think on this and pray for an answer. I know it sounds like it's not modern, Raj. Don't say God and don't say pray, but what am I going to tell you? that is still
Well, I have Uranus in my chart, so I will say the thing that nobody else wants to say.
brilliant, Shana. Don't support me.
I've always been like that.
You have to. You have to, because
Yeah.
people are sleeping, and if you've got the voice for it, and you've got the character, and you're enthusiastic, and you can then make it entertaining, just go for it. And it's your truth.
Yeah. So the meditation, that's where the breath work comes in, right? I didn't even hear about breath work until about a year after the pandemic shut down, which, by the way, was a wave of awakening. It just made everybody, it shook a lot of people awake. There are some people still sleeping and all ego engrossed, but
Yeah.
a lot of people woke up during
Yeah.
that. I was a realtor at the time, and I was kind of walking around dazed and confused, like, because I was one of the people that really, woke up, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What's happening? Like, what's this going to do to the housing market? Like, just unsure of everything. And I found someone on YouTube that was into creative finance and real estate, basically like seller finance and stuff like that, ways to acquire real estate and help people out of bad situations without mortgages and stuff,
Yeah.
right? I joined this community. It's called Sub 2, and it's a real estate community, real estate investment community. And he hosted a mastermind event for a lot of Sub 2 students, and they did breath work. And I was like, what? So I was like, what's breath work? What's that? Does it work to breath? I mean, to breathe, like, so I found out what breath work was then. And, it's like I've also, since I've been in this community, it's a whole lifestyle. Being successful is not just about doing the right thing in work. It's about your mindset. It's about your health. It's about your relationships. And so anyway, that speaking about breath work, tell us about your breath work practice.
I have to preface this by saying that what we think we know about the breath is, in most cases, we don't know anything about the breath. Because if you think about it, we can live for 40 days without food, 4 days without water.
That's exactly where my head was going already.
Exactly. But only 4 minutes without breath. So if breath is the most critical fuel for humans, why is it not taught in school? Why is it not discussed? Why are people saying it's optional when it has such a huge impact on everything you do? Everything. I mean, everything. So during the pandemic, I'd already been studying yoga, as I mentioned, yoga and meditation, yoga, all these deeper elements. I was heavily into it, and metaphysics, philosophy, the whole thing. And I was also studying the breath, on the physiological effects it has on you. Like, what can it do? It's just breath. Then what happens is I realized that it's not just what you think as oxygen or nitrogen, like what they tell you in the school books. It's not. It's three main components. One, light. Yeah, breath is light. Breath is electricity. And breath is magnetism. So around you in the environment, right, all around you right now, you think you're surrounded by air. But what's in the air is light, electricity, and magnetism.
There's a magnetic field on this planet.
It's all around us at all times, 24/7. It's light, again, light, electricity, and magnetism. If the sun
And they're
disappears,
charging us for electricity.
correct.
And
Wow, it could do a lot.
that why Tesla was, or where's all his stuff? Where's all his papers? And
See, imagine, Shana, if the sun disappeared right now, what would happen to the planet?
Oh.
Gone completely.
I've had a few dreams about that, by the way, over the years.
Okay, scary.
Weird. Like at one of the dreams, the planet was I think that maybe either the sun was turning into a red giant or the planet was getting sucked into the sun or something like that. But yeah, it was really weird.
Star Trek films, or Star Wars. But the thing is that around us, surrounding all of us at all times, is light, electricity, and magnetism. However, if you don't know how to tap into that infinite resource, you cannot really benefit.
Right.
So in the ancient scriptures of yoga and Vedanta from India, they teach this science so precisely, it will just blow your mind at how they relate all human circumstances, happenings, karma, everything to your breath. everything. The depth of your breath, the frequency of your breath, whether it's through the left or the right nostril, or whether it's through your mouth, everything, because it affects your mindset. And you do everything through your mindset. So if your breath is wrong and your mind is wrong, everything turns out wrong. But if your breath is right, your mind is right, everything turns out right.
You know what's so weird? I think I have a deviated septum, and I think I was born with it. In my baby pictures, I'm sitting there like with my tongue hanging out, breathing, which it signifies a breathing problem,
Yes.
right? But over the years, thanks to vanity, I thought I would catch myself in a mirror or something. I'm like, oh my God, I look so stupid. So I trained myself to breathe through my nose. And even while I was sleeping too, like I would catch myself doing that while I was sleeping, and I would close my mouth. So I've like trained myself to not breathe through my mouth. But if I drink through a straw or something, my nose makes this squeaky noise. It's the funniest.
Really? It's so fascinating. When we train people in breathwork, sometimes we train an MMA artist or martial artist. Always, pretty much everyone's had a broken nose. And so there's an imbalance of airflow between the nostrils. So we check that. People who have bipolar disorder, extreme shifts between the nostrils every few minutes. That's why they're so unpredictable in their behavior, because they keep switching energies frequently, and no one understands why. 10 minutes ago, you just said that. Now you're saying this, and next time, 10 minutes later, you say something else. They just keep switching energies like this, right? Most humans switch every 60 to 90 minutes, but bipolar people switch quickly. That's why they become erratic. That's why they become, unpredictable. That's why their partner leaves them. They don't understand what's going on. What's going on with this? So we've trained some bipolar people as well and got them evened out.
Do you think ADHD is from that?
We found yes, to a certain extent, yes. To a certain extent. So we've been able to help people with ADHD and PTSD and ADD and, people on the autistic spectrum.
I have ADHD, the inattentive kind. So
Right.
like I was always, like drifting off into la la land, and I got that phrase from my teachers. Miss Clark, you want to come back from la la land? I'm like, oh man, I was on a tropical island. Why'd you have to bring me back?
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean that's wild. Like I am so big on breathing out of my nose. I also found out that there's a lot of health issues from being a mouth breather. And like I keep this just in case my nose gets, it's just nose spray, just in case one side or the other gets a little, and I'll sit there and go like this and push up on my bridge sometimes just to let more airflow go in my nose.
Right. It's
That's
so
wild.
interesting because it's not what you think. This stuff that we're breathing, it's a living, dynamic, electrical, intelligent, powerful energy. And the fact that we don't know how to contain it is just mind-blowing, because you were like a fish swimming in an infinite body of water. And you never knew it because you're always inside it.
Right.
And you take it for
Like
granted.
the fish has no idea it's in water because it's always there.
Correct. Exactly. It was born. But so it's the same with humans. In air, we take it for granted because we were born in it. So we don't actually realize what it is.
So I know, like I read that book Miracle Morning. One of the things that when I found that sub 2, the community that I joined, and it had an app, and it was like a morning routine, and you would journal, they would do like talk you through a meditation, and you could pick whichever one you wanted every morning, but there were like 7 things that you do every morning, and one of them was a breath work exercise, or maybe that was part of the meditation. They were like, breathe in and then hold it too, and you count or whatever. What does that do when you breathe in and you hold it and then you exhale slowly? What all does that do?
Well, this is a way to engage your parasympathetic nervous system. So your parasympathetic nervous system helps you relax and to harmonize and rest and digest, as opposed to the sympathetic nervous system, which is all about freeze, fight, and flight mode. It's just for me.
Mm.
But everybody talks about freeze, fight, flight, freeze, fight, flight, freeze, fight, flight. And
What if
it's
you do all three at the same time?
yeah, well, yeah, yeah,
That's ADHD.
absolutely on steroids, you know. So,
Right.
so the thing is, when you do all these breathing methods, I've studied this very carefully for years,
Mhm.
and I wanted to find something that was easy and accessible that anybody could do. There wasn't something that everybody would just do every day because they get confused. Did you say breathe in for 4 and then hold for 8 and then breathe out for 6 and then hold it for 16? They get confused, and because they get confused, they don't do it.
Right.
They don't maintain it. When I speak to my clients on the phone, did you do the breathing? I did it when you told me that day, but I never did it once after that.
At least they're being honest.
At least I'm being honest. It would help you so much in your relationship problems with guys, and you're having nerves and hyper anxiety before you go on the dates and you're getting worried. It would help you so much, but you're not doing it. So you're not going to benefit.
I
So,
just had an epiphany.
go on.
When you get upset and somebody's like, deep breath, take a deep breath.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
It was in our face the whole time, and we didn't even realize that was like a thing that you could always do. We thought people were just saying that just to say it.
There's obviously a
know?
huge science in it. If you look at when women are pregnant, this is so interesting. When women give birth in the UK, they say certain words with the breath. Why would you say that only when the woman is pregnant and after she's given birth? Tell her you don't have to breathe it, like to carry on as normal. Like, to give birth, most important on life, like one of the biggest high points of your life. You give birth to a baby, do this special breathing that the midwife tells you to do. Then after that, you don't have to breathe anymore. Why is breathing only important when you're pregnant?
Right. Is it when you're giving birth or when you're pregnant?
Yeah, when you're, feeling the labor pains or when you're, going to give birth and they tell you to breathe in a certain way in the hospital situation or when you're in, giving birth situation.
Right.
But after that, they don't say nothing else about the breath. Yeah, it was so important to give birth to that baby, a human life. And now it's no longer important because you've now given birth. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So there's something very mysterious about this breath. I'll tell you a little bit about this one. Okay, and you can try it and you'll see what happens. This
Two
is like,
souls occupying the same space at once, kind of, as the baby's being born. I'm just remembering giving birth myself. I was a very young mother when I had my first one. I was only 18. I explained it to Bella. I was like, I felt like I was kind of like in 2 dimensions at once. And that's how I described it. Like, I was like, it was so weird. It was like 2 dimensions at the same time. It was really freaking weird. But that's probably what was, that's why I said that out loud. It was like, it's probably, 2 souls occupying the same body at the same time. It's probably why.
such an interesting situation. I think a reason why women have postpartum depression is because they lose connection with a certain energy field.
That
And
makes
they lose it. And then they just feel lost and they confused. That happens a lot. So would you like to dial in this one a little bit and experience it?
Sure.
All right. So this method is really easy. You're going to be amazed at how simple it is, but also how powerful it is. We've trained hundreds of people in it, including the NHS, which is the National Health Service, and also a lot of Wim Hof. You've heard of the
Of what?
Iceman? Wim Hof? Wim Hof, the Iceman?
No.
Very famous on YouTube. It's like globally famous, going up the Himalayas in his shorts and doing all these crazy, ice.
That makes me cold just hearing that.
He's well famous. He's a legend for
Okay.
the vigorous breath breathing through the mouth. So we've actually spoken to a lot of Wim Hof coaches, and they said, wow, what you're doing, Raj, with your team, this is easier, it's simpler, and we feel the meditative effects quicker than we did on the Wim Hof method, right?
Oh. So he was staying warm through breath work, basically?
Hmm?
Was he staying warm and through breath work?
Yeah, he was basically controlling his nervous system and his ability to bear pain with, using cold exposure. So they sit in the ice cubes or take cold exposure, baths in ice and stuff like that. But a lot of people, when we speak to them, they don't want to do that every day. They do it
Yeah,
when they see you because they're
yeah,
quite tough. But
right.
they don't in their own space, in their own day-to-day life. They don't do it.
Those
So
those those cold showers and ice baths and yeah,
yeah,
that's like there's supposed to be a lot of benefits from it, but
it does work for sure, but it shocks your nervous system and your immune system. It releases certain hormones from the brain for sure. But the question is, do you keep it up every day? Most people not, unless you're the kind of diehard fanatic thing, you probably do it. So
probably
this
more
one,
important than eating.
yeah, I would say so to a certain extent. Yeah. So this one, okay, you would sample this one real quick. I'll
Okay.
just ask you questions. So first thing we do is we close the eyes, relax, totally relax, keep the body, the spine fairly straight. And then what you're going to do, Shannon, is you're going to block your right nostril and breathe out once through your left, like that. And then block the left nostril and breathe out once through the right, like that. Chin up a little bit. Chin up a little bit. And can you tell me what's the flow ratio between them? Is it 50-50? Is it 60-40? 70-30 roughly?
Um,
You can check again a few times.
this side is more open at the moment.
Would you say it's like 60-40 or
Yeah,
70-30?
it's so weird. I don't know.
If it's not 50-50, it's going to
Now
be...
I feel like this one is more open. You know what's really weird? I get sinus headaches a lot.
Really?
I don't get headaches. I get sinus headaches.
When do they come on?
They're kind of random, really. But when I get them, they're bad.
Really?
I mean, I'm kind of like I'm kind of used to them. So usually I'll take like 3 Advil and a Tylenol, and that makes it go away, but not always.
Not always, yeah.
And
Okay.
it's usually always on this side right here.
Okay. So now, are they flowing? Are they equally or like 60-40 or 40-50? What is it roughly? Just so we can have that.
They kind of feel equal.
Equally. Mine are pretty much 50-50. That tells us the brain is working optimally, both feeling and logic, and they're working well together. When there's an imbalance, you're lopsided temporarily. You're working on one side of the brain dominant.
Mm.
So when you have misunderstandings with your wife or your husband, it's often because you're running off one side of the brain than the other side.
Yeah,
And
I
that's,
don't have a wife or a husband.
yeah.
So if you're
Then
having
we're-
a disagreement with somebody, anybody, right?
then, yeah, absolutely. So for this one, I'll also ask you a question, Charlotte. Just close your eyes for a moment and tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel right now? 1 is don't feel great, I feel terrible. 10 is
You mean healthy or emotionally?
how you feel generally, just overall.
1 is
Terrible, and 10 is amazing.
how do I feel right now? Probably 6.
Good. Right. So put the chin up a little bit for me. So with a nice, gentle yoga posture. Back, shoulders a little bit back, a little bit. Just so you know, spine is nice and relatively straight. That's so. This breathing is very gentle, very soft. It's 3 parts in through the nose, like this, and then 3 parts out the mouth, like this. And the exhalation through the mouth is like ha, 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 without the vocalization. Yeah, and the last ha is a bit longer. It's a bit elongated.
Oh,
So, yeah, so
that explains the poster.
yes, exactly. As you can do that.
Okay.
There you go. Uh, All right, perfect. You've got that dialed in perfectly well. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to do it for 1 minute together. Okay. And then you're going to see what happens.
Okay.
All right. And you keep your eyes closed, and I'll ask you some questions. Just relax, completely calm, comfortable. Don't force anything. Don't try to make it fast or anything.
Don't remember that we're on a podcast episode and it's being recorded.
Exactly.
Dang it, I messed it up. Okay.
It's all good. It's okay. Just
lock it.
Let's be fairly.
Okay, there we go. It's locked.
Yeah. So after a count of 3, we'll do it for a minute together. So 3, 2, 1, and go.
Mm-hmm.
Just stop there, Shana. Relax. Keep your eyes closed. Just relax. Just gently feel what's happening within. Just relax. When you're ready, Shana, tell us what you notice and how you feel, keeping your eyes closed.
Feel a little dizzy, but like good dizzy, not a woozy dizzy.
Yeah.
And I feel peaceful. And like I want to take a nap.
This method, interestingly, you say that people who have insomnia, this method works like magic. On people who've had insomnia for 10 years, 15 years, and they've been taking sleeping pills. This method works like magic within 30 to 90 seconds. So fall asleep for 6 hours straight, and they say it's the deepest sleep they've had since they were a child.
Wow. I thankfully never had sleeping issues.
So if I can ask you, Shana, you feel your heart rate is slowed down a bit?
Yeah.
It's quite noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And have you noticed
I feel a little cooler too.
Whereabout?
Like
In the head, in the sinuses?
my legs and my arms.
Yep, that's normal. This method has a very powerful effect in clearing the sinuses and congestion in catarrh as well. The nose and the face. Children, it works absolutely amazing. Top of the brain, around the forehead, temple area, it relieves stress, migraine stress, as well as, headache stress.
I have to tell my daughter she gets migraines.
This is magical migraine. So have you noticed the mental chatter that most of us have in this busy modern world? Sort of monkey mind, chatter. Have you noticed that slow down a bit or reduce a bit?
Yes, there is a quietness. It's almost kind of like a meditation feeling.
Exactly. And if you consider this only took you 60 seconds to reach. And most people tell us it takes them half an hour to reach this state in ordinary meditation.
Yes.
Let me ask you another question. Do you feel a growing expanse of mind beyond your body? Growing expanse of like awareness? Do you feel anything like that? The sense of spaciousness.
Yeah, spaciousness, definitely.
On a scale of 1 to 10, you said you felt like a 6, 10 earlier. No.
Like an 8?
Is it? When you consider that just took 6%. On the scale of 1 to 10, how surprised are you at how quickly this worked? 1 meaning you're not at all surprised, and 10 meaning you're very.
10.
Yeah. Shall I tell you what you've just done?
Yes.
You're so peaceful and so serene.
I still feel a little.
No, you should. This effect, we have people doing it for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, is 7 minutes. And when you do it for 7 minutes, the compounding effect it's having on the mind, your brain does phenomenal. You can remain in flow state all day long.
Is that what this is? Flow state?
Correct. Exactly.
This is great because, because I'm a Gemini. And according to my astrologer guest last night, I have 4 planets in Gemini. He's like, you are a ball of energy. I'm like, you have no idea.
The thing with Gemini is they love their fantastic communicators. Though, if you don't have a method to switch that off, like it can get sometimes a bit overwhelming.
And then if you have ADHD on top of it, which I feel like Gemini is the sign of ADHD. So like people would be like, this is so weird that I've never had sleeping issues. Because I've told people so many times, they're like, you know how when you go to sleep at night and everything starts to kind of quiet down and slow down? And I'm like, no, when I close my eyes to go to sleep, everything's speeding up and getting faster and faster. So this is how I fall asleep. You ready? I'll turn on like a spiritual podcast or something on YouTube, and I'll play a game on my phone, like a little Tetris type kind of game. And I'm listening. I have to do at least 2 things at once, at least. So I'm listening to the podcast while I'm playing this little game on my phone. And then when I feel myself get sleepy, then I turn this off and turn on the TV. I turn the TV on like something that goes black screen, like 432 hertz or something like that. That's how I fall asleep. Is that insane? Or
Yeah. I'm trying to be the same when I was younger. Now I just use the breathing, close my eyes, and I'm gone within 30 seconds.
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
Like it's just so weird that I never have sleeping problems.
Yeah.
That's how I fall asleep, and it's a habit.
Well, yeah, with the ADHD, some people find it unbearable. That they don't sleep well, and the mental chatter makes them tired and exhausted. Right, but with this method, it completely switches it off.
This is awesome. I'm an oddity, I guess. I don't guess. I know I am.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you what you can start.
This is great for meditation because meditating is so hard when just when your brain goes 100 miles a minute.
Yeah, and the reason
definitely going to use this for that.
The reason that it's a very good point, Chana. The reason why it's hard to meditate is because you're not controlling the energy underneath the mind. That's why. You need to get the energy underneath the mind into flow state. Then your mind will just relax and get into a gentle rhythm where thoughts obey you. Everything goes as planned. Everything goes as you visualize it. Relationships go just effortlessly. When you're in flow, if you're not in flow, it's hit and miss. It goes well sometimes, it doesn't go well, it can get to a right mess because you're not in emotional control.
So guys, listen, if you would like to reach out to Raj, his website is in the description and the show notes. And you also have coaching on this as well, right?
Absolutely. They can go.
So you have coaching and...
Well, this has kind of gone since people want to know about wellness and get away from prescription medications and things like this. This method has helped so many people in so many ways. Like insomnia, stress, anxiety, ADD, ADHD. We trained someone, a Marine actually, who was abused. He had PTSD from his time in the Marines. So it worked. Again, they're all amazed at how quick and how simple this method is. But it's good to coach people and guide them. So on our website, the Kingdom said, buy 3 free products. You can click, you can buy the tutorial, you can go through it yourself. If you have any questions, you can WhatsApp us via the website, you can email us, you can text us, you can reach us in any number of ways. We're on all the usual social media. The Kingdom, we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, X, rather. Everywhere. People can reach out to us and try it for themselves.
yes, I love it. Wow. Thank you. This is the best part about podcasting. You know what I
What's that?
mean? It's like the connections that you make and the things that you learn and the information you get to share with each other and also the viewers. And wow.
What you've just done, Shana, believe it or not, you've released endorphins from your brain, which are chemicals that help to reduce pain in your body. The healing method. You've also released serotonin and dopamine from your brain, which are feel-good, happy hormone. And you've also activated the vagus nerve, which is the chief parasympathetic nerve system behind the face, behind the throat, and in the stomach, the gut.
Will it help with my wrinkles so I won't have to go get work done now because I'm 53? You know, it's like I just 10 years. I want to rewind 10 years on my skin.
It can help in so many ways. I'll just tell you this tip, and please use it. Apply it to yourself. I've not seen a doctor for 20 years. I've not taken medicine for 20 years. I've not had an X-ray, an ultrasound, or an MRI for 20 years because I charge my immune system and my nervous system with this.
I'm very skeptical. There's things that my doctor's like, we need you to have a mammogram. I'm like, not going to do that. She's like, why not? And I said, well, let's unpack this. Okay. I don't know anything about medicine, but I do have a logical brain. And it's like, don't you get cancer from radiation exposure? And you want me to do this once a year until I get it? Like, come on. And she's looking at me like, but you know what I mean? There's just like, yeah. I'm all about this. I think holistic is the way to go.
Shana, I mean, the amazing thing is that you mentioned cancer. We've been on other podcasts or other live streams where if you mention the word cancer, they ban you.
Really?
Yeah. TikTok, if you say cancer, they will give you a violation or they will cut or edit those comments out because they think you're talking about, it's such a big loaded word in society, cancer. Even though more people suffer from insomnia, 770 million people, as opposed to cancer, only 50 million people globally. They will censor you if you say the word cancer.
I'm so confused.
You know the cause of cancer?
What is the cause of cancer?
Acidity.
Oh.
So here's the trick. Here's a knowledge bomb for you and for your listeners. When you have acidity, you create inflammation in the body. When you create inflammation, it creates all kinds of disruptions, disturbances, mutations, and diseases in the body.
You know what else causes inflammation? And that's another thing they don't know. Women are not gaining weight. They're being inflamed. Like there's so much.
I know.
It's horrible.
If you can, the quickest way to alkalize your body, the opposite of acidity, is to do breathing methods. Like you felt that in just that 1 minute. If you did that for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 7 minutes, you will be in such a profound, deep flow state. You will feel like you're floating on air all day like a ghost. That's the way you want to be.
So when you're coaching on your website, do you do like weekly meetings or what does that look like for folks that are interested?
Listen, That's a great question. Because, for example, if we're coaching a busy, stressed executive or a lawyer, they may have meetings every afternoon and they're very stressed meetings. We coached a woman, a lawyer from Dublin the other day, and she had very high stress meetings where she has to convince a fellow like corporate colleagues and so on certain policy changes and this for the company or whatever else they're writing up as policy for their client. And she told me she always highly stressed, sweaty palms, heart palpitations. Yeah. When we do this breathing with her, within 2 minutes, she was able to completely like relax and calm in a flow state. And when she did her meeting, everything just flowed and everyone's nodding their head in agreement. Yes, yes, yes. Because she felt genuinely good. When
Right.
you feel good, people will agree with you because
People
you
pick
feel
up on that unknowingly.
correct.
And feel your energy. Like a lot of people don't realize we're exchanging energy, even virtually, like now.
Absolutely. We have an aura, we have an electromagnetic field, and it's with us 24/7.
Yes.
The secret is it's charged and enlarged by positive thoughts, but it's decreased and debilitated by negative thoughts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Control
So
your
just some,
thoughts. I've been hearing that a lot lately.
oh yeah,
Mind your thoughts. I think I heard that most recently from Billy Carson is another one that I listen to here and there. I mean, he's been all over the world and done all kinds of research, and he will not
right.
sugarcoat anything.
Like Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden, these guys who talk about quantum physics, metaphysics, they left all of the university curriculum because they said, I'm not teaching the kids this. This is wrong.
Right.
They don't want to be paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to tell wrong information, which is all a contrived curriculum to stuff the brains of the upcoming generation. They don't want to do it.
Right.
So we have to come and say stuff that we know is true from our own experience and just hope that it reaches out the minds and hearts of the people who are ready to hear it.
This new generation coming in, I'll tell you, I have 2 millennial kids and 1 Gen Z kid, and my smartest kid got the worst grades.
Really? Right.
He passed, no problem. Like, if he knows the program is flawed, he's not gonna get with it, and he has been telling me stuff, like, he was looking at Buddha and all that kind of stuff, like, when he was a teenager, telling
Right.
me about it.
Wow.
Yeah. Of course,
Amazing.
I'm learning a lot more recently over the last 3 years or whatever since my mom passed, and I really started down this path,
Amazing. Yeah.
yeah, he was getting
Okay.
C's and
Yeah, people like Bill Gates, they leave school because they got a bigger mission. They got a more
Right.
exciting thing to do. And then all those guys who get the big grades, they end up working for Bill Gates who haven't finished school.
Right, right. My oldest one, I think she was just trying to make us happy. She was on the National Honor Society, and she was on the principals list and everything. Yeah,
Amazing. Yeah.
she's the only one that went to college. Yeah, but
These
I
days,
mean,
it's changed. You can do stuff online. You can start your own business. By the time you reach 25, you've already got your pension in place because you've earned so much money online. You don't need to have a career in a normal office anymore.
yeah, and she was like asking her dad and I, why did you guys, push me to go to college when I was little? And I'm like, well, Ash, you got to understand, like, we grew up in completely different times. Things are changing so rapidly. We're Gen Xers. So when we grew up, if you got a college degree, you were good to make money the rest of your life. You were set.
Right.
No, it's just kind of not what it is anymore. Then it came out with all these student loans. And then that's when
Exactly.
it just, flooded the college campuses. Yeah.
It's crazy. Crazy. But yeah,
I never
so
did understood why they put so much emphasis on money when you can't take it with you.
yeah, I mean, if you've got a good plan for it, you've got a purpose for it. It's to
Right.
build, help other people, and to do something impactful in the world. And you've got to have, you've got to have your plan in place. Otherwise, in self-indulge and then ruin yourself, or, what are you going to do? It's always good to have a plan.
Yeah, I think that's becoming more and more known. But like when we were growing up, everything was all about money, everything.
Right.
But I see that slowly changing. And then I've also been hearing how money is an energy. And it's not about the money, it's about what it enables you to do.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. We're talking to a lot of people, different age ranges. The last 30 years, people's attitudes about money is changing because in the church system or religion, religion is a swear word for a lot of people, but it's like, they say you're not virtuous if you're rich. You should be poor. You should give your money to charity. You have a poverty complex. You have a scarcity complex. No one is saying that's true. It's just fed to you by society narrative or church was religious narrative. It's not actually true though. Everybody has a right to be abundant. Everybody has a right to live creatively and do great things in the world, be happy. Everyone has that right. But some people think, well, if I don't give everything away, if I don't become a martyr, then I'm not valued in society, or I'm not a good person. I think
that's part of the programming too. They want you to hate it or whatever.
Then you won't have it, because you always distance it from yourself, so you're never going to get it because you hate it.
Mm-hmm.
You put a barrier between abundance and yourself, which is wrong.
And he who has the gold makes the rules. So if you don't have the gold, you don't make the rules. They get to make the rules over you, right?
Yeah.
The same. Have you ever been to Egypt? Have you ever been to the pyramids?
I have not.
Oh.
Have you?
No, not yet, but I will eventually.
There's some amazing stories behind all that.
Yeah. The reason I asked you is because there's rumor has it that the Great Pyramid is actually a generator. So there's electricity around the air. I mean, all the tunnels and stuff like that where they had hieroglyphs. There's no evidence of candles, no soot there's no way for light to get in there. So, the rumor is that it is this generator and they actually had electricity, which you were saying is one of the three things in the air, right?
Yeah.
So, and with your breathwork practice, I would imagine you would be so in tune with that. There's people that go there that aren't even doing breathwork that get this like amazing kind of feel, or they can feel the energy or whatever. I've heard all kinds of people like.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, because I've come across some material that has indicated a serpent on Pharaoh's, for example, his headpiece. And what is that serpent? You've seen the staff of Caduceus. You've seen in healthcare they use a serpent. What is why
those snakes going around the thing? Yeah.
What is that?
And what is the thing with cats?
I think it's something to do with their perception, ability to see into the
they think they can see, like they can. Their eyesight is phenomenal. I've always loved cats, all different, like lions, tigers, panthers, cheetahs, like all that. You know what I mean? And I've always had a house cat, at least one, and they're just like amazing. But back in ancient Egypt, if you harmed a cat, it was punishable by death.
If you harm any creature, I think it's for me it's unconscionable. I can't even hurt a fly without having a knife.
Right. I taught my kids, I'm like, look, I know a spider is scary, but if there's a bug, you put it in a cup, you throw it outside. Just because it's scary to you, it doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve to live.
Exactly. We don't sweep with the vacuum cleaner, just to zap them that way. We got to pick it up like gently, somehow in a box or whatever. Outside.
I accidentally kicked this ant metropolis. I called it an ant metropolis because it was like 25 different ant hills all connected. And I was like, I stepped on the ant metropolis.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. So
they were probably like, I just think about what it would have been like.
Exactly.
These freaking clumsy giants.
So
So I want to thank you for coming on the show. Thank you so much. I'm going to use this breath work, and you'll probably be hearing from me again. I'm going to report back to you and let you know
absolutely,
how that goes.
absolutely.
And anyone who's interested, the links are in the show notes. And I'm going to ask you 2 questions that I like to ask all my guests at the end. And the first one is, what do you think is the meaning of life?
Whoa, that's massive. It's a great question.
Yeah, oh, you know me. I go hard or go home. Like I do not. All
Wow. Sure.
right. Sorry.
No, it's great. I mean, I can give you the Cliff Notes version, the succinct version. Um, you know, the real meaning of life is to know who you are. Who are you? Who are you? What are you? Are you the same as everyone else? Is there an ultimate destination? What is it? Find out.
Right.
Why are we here? Created all this. Is it just
Right.
Is it just entertainment? It's just a hobby because he was bored? What is it?
Since you started thinking like that and asked yourself, wow, look at my body, look at, you know what I mean? Do you think that you found the answer since you had that question?
I had to find the answer. I had to find the answer. Otherwise, nothing makes sense to me. Without knowing the sum and bonum of everything, of why we're here, what this is, all this, I don't know anything. Can't make sense of anything because you always have to relate it to something else. You measure your benchmarks against the ultimate endpoint of your understanding, right? Otherwise, you don't know if you're making progress or not. How can you measure it?
True.
Yeah. So
And
I
then
found out. So, yeah, I found out, but I don't know if you want me to express that, but it's beyond the
I
usual
feel
scope.
like a lot of people that have found out are kind of in this spiritual community, for lack of a better term, and kind of that's where all kind of gathering and more are joining the pool every day, right?
Lots.
And the other question is, if you could leave our listeners with a piece of profound advice, potentially life-changing, what would that be?
I would say definitely get into breathwork because that will unveil to your own mind the truth of so many things that you thought you understood from textbooks, but you don't actually understand until you have the realization for yourself on the inside or within your mind. Using the breath helps you get to that level of intuition and understanding very quickly. Like if you work with me, within 3 to 6 months, you'll be a completely different person. And you'll sweep up a lot of health issues that you thought you had, that you thought were unsolvable, or fix themselves.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank you for coming on the show. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. And, you've asked some fantastic questions and you've been a fantastic host. Really, really.
Oh, thank you.